Hey guys, welcome to this week's Thorough Thursday, and today we're going to be going over the barbell back squat. So let's get to it. So the way I kind of teach the barbell back squat is going to be more of the powerlifting variation or the vertical shank. So just keep that in mind when I'm telling you this as we're going through the proper way to do this, but there are also other types of ways to squat as far as narrow stance with a heel elevated, Olympic variation, and all other sorts. But today we're going to be going over the barbell back squat and what I think most people should at least try to master, which is the powerlifting variation with vertical shank. So let's get to it. So the first thing you want to do is when you have the bar set up in the rack where you need it to be, just make sure your hands are even side to side on the barbell, okay? So I don't know how many times I've seen people have one hand completely over to the side and one hand close to the center, okay? So there's rings on both sides of the bar to make sure your hands are even from side to side, so make sure you use them. Once you have your hands set, pinch your shoulder blades back as far as you can and try to put the barbell right on top of your rear delts, okay? So for some people this can be difficult because their upper back may not be strong or big enough to do it, okay? So if you do have a big enough back to do this, you'll see a little shelf right where those rear delts should be. If you don't have that yet, you can get away with holding the bar a little bit higher on your just right around the trap, so that way it doesn't slip off your back. So once you have that position, you're going to get your feet under you. So for most of us, we're probably going to be walking out the squat. So I'm going to start with my feet underneath my hips. I'm going to bring my elbows down to really crank up my sternum and keep my eyes straight ahead. And then I'm going to squat the weight up, okay? So you'll see a lot of people that go to the gym, they try to bend over and pick it up with their back, which kind of sets you up for failure, okay? So you want to squat down and use your hips and legs to pick up the weight and step back just one step or two steps, okay? There's some people that take 3 or 5 steps to get out of the rack and then set their feet, which again, we want to try to keep this as minimal as possible. So just take 1 to 2 steps, enough to clear the hooks, get your feet set. And once I have my feet set, which are going to be a little bit wider in hip width or shoulder width apart, I'm going to start by pushing off the sides of my feet, and then I'm going to break the plane with my hips first, okay? So what that is doing is trying to load up my glutes and hamstrings as I sit back into this movement. So once I'm doing that, I'm going to push off the sides of my feet, hips are going back, and then I'm bending at the knees, but pushing my hips back the entire time while pushing off the sides of my feet. So even though it doesn't look like they're pushing out, if you look at it, or what it should feel like in your head, is that you're trying to create as much torque within your hip joint as possible. So by pushing off the side of my foot, that feeling's going all the way up inside my hip, really turning on my glutes and hamstrings, really sitting back and trying to maintain that upright chest as much as possible. So as I'm sitting down, I'm going to go down till my hip is in level with the top of my kneecap, and then come right back up the way I went down, okay? So if you watch this on repeat, it should be kind of a little difficult to see when you're going up versus when you're going down, because realistically at the end of the day they do look very similar. So once you've done that, you're going to bring your feet back in and walk into the rack or mono lift. So if you guys have or struggle with your own back squat, DM me so that way I can look at your squat and give you an assessment based on what we see in there, and then talk about some personal online coaching to see what we can do with your squat and how to improve it. So I hope you guys found this useful, and I'll see you guys next Thursday.